I have to say, I was thinking I was pretty special finding out about your love for wrestling. I had to go back to a former classmate of mine at Wake Forest, who I guess knew you in your youth.
Oh gosh,
Pi.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
went deep on the cyber stalking.
Oh wow.
And I was like, give me some dirt, give me some juice. Like, what can I use? And he's like, well, I'll tell you one thing. That guy loves his wrestling. And I was like, I can use that.
That is insane.
And then Ryan, and then you, and my thunder.
Well, at least I don't hide it.
No, it's great. It's great that you don't hide it, but now we need to go deeper.
Yeah.
I guess what's your first memory of wrestling, your best memory of wrestling, and your favorite wrestlers?
Okay. First memory of wrestling. It has to be like those Saturday night main events that NBC would run like once a quarter.
Yep.
And it's probably not it's just a vivid early memory is when Andre the Giant and Bobby Heenan cheated Hulk Hogan out of the title. And I literally think I was going to cry. I see heads shaking. People remember that one. I think I was going to cry.
How many people in here know Bobby the Brain Heenan? Okay. How many people here work at Hertz? Okay. Well, that's at least a good career move. And so, your favorites over the years. And who's your favorite now?
My favorite of all time is The Rock.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's just...
Dwayne Wayne.
Yeah,
kind of.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's just flat out the best on the mic, best in the ring, most charismatic guy. He can be a good guy. He can be a bad guy. If you put a microphone in that guy's hand, it's magic.
I smell what he's cooking. How does your family feel about this?
About wrestling?
Yeah.
My wife loves it. My kids, I'm kind of disappointed that they haven't.
Yeah, kids are always a disappointment.
Yeah, latched on quite as much.
Yeah.
I think they kind of pretend to want to like it.
Sure.
So Royal Rumble happened last week, and I was like, okay, we've got to watch the Royal Rumble. I think my son kind of dozed off. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah. That is, and are there going to be any partnerships in the future?
You never know.
That'd be something else. By the way, I flew in yesterday from New Jersey, skipped the line. There was no line, but skipped it anyway.
You would have skipped it.
Picked my car, smelled great. Awesome experience.
That's great.
So thank all of you for that. Let's learn more about your family. We're talking about love and loyalty.
Yep.
Shout out to my 8-year-old Maddie, who gave me my socks, if any of you are wondering. Her feet are slightly smaller than mine, so got some skid there. But when it comes to your family, what are the brands that they love? Are there any loyalty programs that stand out, in your household?
Yeah. So I have a 12-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. And when you say what are brands that they love, the first one that comes to mind, and it's the bane of my existence, is Roblox. Oh my gosh. If anybody knows Roblox, I hope nobody from Roblox is watching. Great company, but oh my gosh.
Yep.
The amount, the stickiness of that platform, I don't even understand it. And I'm a pretty tech savvy dude. I don't get it, but the amount of times I get asked for, Dad, can I have Robux? They have figured out how to make a product that's extremely sticky, and the kids know that if they get a good grade or win a game or do something with any grandparent, that they can walk away with, some Robux, gift cards or whatever. And it's unbelievable.
Yeah, Maddie, she's got great socks, but she convinced me to get her a subscription.
Oh.
So now it's just recurring, and I'm like, can I? She's kind of a good kid. Do I take it away? But I feel your pain. Any other loyalty programs or rewards programs that the family's into?
You know what? We don't have a ton of, as far as our kids go. I would say another one that's just interesting, more on the education side. I don't think we're paying a ton of money, but my daughter has a Duolingo subscription. Yeah. And it's amazing how they've done such a great job of finding ways to just remind her, hey, go back in there today. It's those little triggers that you can do to make somebody stay with you. And I think that's really impressive.
And they had a crazy Super Bowl spot Like the bird pooped out another bird. It was like 3 seconds long. I was like, what just happened? Duolingo? Yes. I like Duolingo. Well, that's fantastic and super impressive that, your headquarters is here and your family's headquartered in Louisville.
Yep.
This was supposed to be our icebreaker, but I'll lob it up to you right here. Assuming you've got some travel time, some time on your own, what are you watching?
Oh my gosh. Oh, my team is like, oh, don't get them started.
Let's go.
Not watching.
Wow.
Yeah. So because I'm in an apartment, by myself during the week, I do have a lot of time to catch up on shows. And so I kind of have an interesting MO with this. So I try to keep up with the new stuff, but also, when you're raising kids, you don't get to see much. So there's shows that I'm going back to that I know I heard were good for the past 10 years that I never got to.
Paw Patrol.
Yeah, so I just did, like examples would be, I had never watched Parks and Rec or Community, but I've done those now. I've kind of gone back. Right now I'm doing Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
I knew they were good, I never got to them. But then of the new shows, I watch it all. I mean, Reacher, Fargo, Death and Other Details is a new one, Poker Face, Succession. I do them all.
Good for you. Wow, that was a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. What? This was supposed to be about Hertz, but maybe for you too. What other things are you doing to stay relevant with today's consumer, personally, but also, Hertz being such an iconic brand, old, over 100 years old,
Yeah.
not quite as old as Kohler.
Yeah, not quite. We're catching up. Well, math major shouldn't have said we're catching up. So no, I think it's a really important question, and it's one that I've had experience with this several times. So GE is also like that, and at Procter & Gamble, there's other great examples of brands that were old brands that they've been able to find to make more relevant. The example I always think of when I think of this question is Old Spice.
Yep.
And when you think about, at the time when really think about mid-aughts or 2000s, however we want to call it, I mean, Axe was crushing. Unilever had Axe. They were crushing the game when it came to like male scent.
Yep.
Teenage boys thought, you smell like Axe, like you're the man, like you're gonna win, you're gonna do all right. And P&G really didn't have an answer. They had Tag, but Tag wasn't really doing it. And they were able to figure out an insight with Old Spice that like the Old Spice man already knows how to kind of move through the world, and they nailed an insight with the kind of that experience, and they owned it. And so that's what I think is important for legacy brands or older brands. It's like really finding the thing that is truly ownable to you and going all in on that. And so with Hertz and the work that Steph and crew did with Let's Go, it's like Hertz has always been a brand about moving forward. Hertz has always been a brand about innovation. It's like, okay, how do we find ways to tell that story in a new and relevant way? And the Let's Go campaign is a perfect embodiment of that.
You know what? That's such a great segue. This is creepy/awesome. But if you go to my LinkedIn page, it literally says "Let's Go," and there's a couple like yellow strip. I did that last year, and I was like, oh, this looks good. And I coach a lot of my youth sports for the kids, and I'm always like, "Let's go!" And I realized yesterday, I'm like, oh my God, I stole their brand. So kudos on having nice branding, and please don't sue me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you
Cease and
saw
desist
that.
letters in the mail.
Yeah, might have been like, well, John, it's just going to be like a fireside chat. You don't need to change your profile. So I grew up in the Boston area.
Yeah.
First question, obviously, what's Tom like?
So I'll answer it in a different way. So I'll answer your question and with a story. So at that shoot was my first time meeting him, and I called home, tell my wife, hey, day's going great. And the first question she asked was, is he as gorgeous in person? So similar vibe, similar question, just different angle. And I just told her, yes, he is.
Yeah?
He is absolutely as gorgeous in person. He was a great guy. He really was. I've had a few interactions with him now, and I think the team as well. Like every time we're around Tom, it's just a great experience. Like he's a really good guy, and he really uses our brand, and so that's a lot of fun.
How do you smell?
How did he?
I mean, we're talking about axe and tag.
Yeah.
These are important questions.
He smelled like magic.
God, I bet he did. Oh, it's so delicious. My wife is fine with this. And she's good with it. Well, tell us more about the campaign and will Tom be back?
Yeah, so we actually, like I said, we just had a shoot last week.
Okay.
And so we're really excited to continue to tell that story with Tom. And, you know, with Hertz, it really goes to what Dan was saying earlier. We really want to lean into, you know, that let's go mentality, and how do you make the traveler realize that through being a part of Hertz, being a member of the Gold Plus Rewards program, it's going to allow you to get out of the gate through the airport and on your way fast. And so that's what we're all about. We want to keep trying to tell stories that help people do that.
That's awesome. Tom's doing a great job. It's a great partnership.
Yes.
You mentioned some other partnerships. Was there anything more that you wanted to add about what you're doing with Uber or T-Mobile?
Yeah, okay. So with Uber, it's a fun one because, you know, I think it was brought up earlier. Somebody's like, well, new competition like Uber, but we actually look at them more as a partner. Yeah. I don't think many people don't realize that if you're in an Uber vehicle and it's a Tesla, it's a very good chance that it's one of ours. You know, Uber drivers and Lyft drivers rent vehicles from Hertz to do their driving. It's a really, really growing part of our business. We're really excited. We have a great relationship with Uber. In fact, a few months ago, we did a test drive in the LA airport, a test drive event, and it was us and Uber and GM and like several partners working together to really show, you know, what it's like to drive for Uber using a Hertz vehicle in an EV, and just finding all those synergies has been a really, really big growth opportunity for us.
Yeah, I learned about it a month or two ago. Got picked up to the airport, was going to my son's basketball game. You know, I was like, expensive. Let's go comfort. And and I'm gigantic. So I had a driver driving a Tesla, and he broke it all down for me. You know, he's a guy that was in entertainment and movies and film, and obviously work was a little slow. He's been doing this for a while. He was just raving about it, and I was like, this is fantastic. This guy should be doing an ad.
It is.
That's a great program. Obviously, you guys have countless partnerships. But let's talk a little bit more about our love and our loyalty for Dollar and Thrifty.
Yeah, it's so much fun to get a new challenge, right? Yeah. I think as marketers, it's like getting those new ones. And Dollar and Thrifty are two great brands that just haven't been given a lot of love in the past few years. And it's like now we're saying it's time. And Dollar is an iconic brand that there's a space for the value brands. And we really want to make Dollar something new and special and new. Dollar and Thrifty, but Dollar, I'll speak to Dollar because of the T-Mobile thing, something really new and special, and just talk about value, leisure travel in a unique way, and really break out of the sea of sameness in the value channel.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask Dan earlier, but when you're talking about loyalty programs, like, is there cross-pollination? Like, is it siloed, or are we looking at everyone together? How does that work?
So it's currently siloed, but it is something we are looking at. I mean, I think there's different ways you can skin that cat. Clearly, you've seen the hotels with like Bonvoy, with Marriott, like they're going that direction. So it's something we're looking at. We just haven't made any announcements yet.
I love that. Yeah, because if I'm expensing it for work, well, like let's get the nice ride. But if I'm just putting my little suckers in the back, maybe we don't need it to be that nice.
There you
We've got some time left, so I guess we're going to go there. I'll give you the choice: AI or cookies.
I think the cookies right back there taste pretty good.
They do, right? I was so pissed off this morning. I told a couple of you I'm trying to do intermittent fasting. I was like, I'm not supposed to be eating. That bacon was so good.
We can talk AI, either one, honestly, either one.
Well, let's eat some cookies. So,
Okay.
So, what are you doing? Like, do you care? Are you just going to wait and see? Are you testing programmatically? And what are your thoughts about the future of a cookieless world?
I think one, the answers to the questions you asked is yes to all of those. Like we're really, just like everyone in this room, trying to, understand how we will move in a cookieless world. It seems like, it keeps getting pushed back, but that doesn't mean we can't, we can't not be ready.
Right.
It's been attributed to Snoop Dogg. It's been attributed to Will Smith. It's been attributed to a million athletes. You have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right? And so, as it relates to the cookieless world, we've been on the journey. It's really led by Arthur Timoteo on my team, and many more on that team, to really make sure we're ready on how to react in a cookieless world. We really focus on kind of an audience-led strategy,
right,
and really taking advantage of the great first-party data that we have to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say your first party. It's probably a bit all over the place, and you're kind of figuring that out. But you must have phenomenal.
We will be ready when the switch gets turned off.
You know who all the bad drivers are.
Yeah, that's true.
And when it comes to AI, are you incorporating it today into what you're doing?
Well, the answer has to be yes, because if we're not, then we'll be left behind. I think there are solutions in AI that we still need to dig deeper in, but in a lot of what we're already doing with how we buy media, AI is well embedded into that. I think now it's more interesting to see, like, what are the ones around the corner that we want to try next. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, no, it's great.
I love testing and learning.
Yep. We'll open it up in a second, but if you think about your category in the next year, 1 to 5 years, what do you predict? What do you hope for?
Yeah, I think it came up in Dan's speech conversation earlier. It's all about like serving what the customer's expectations are, and what customers expect now is to be able to have frictionless experience. That's like the buzzword of the year, right? You look at what has happened in retail, in air, in hotels. I mean, my expectation of tomorrow, I fly to Kansas City for my daughter's volleyball tournament, staying at the Marriott downtown in Kansas City. Yeah. I got an alert from my Bonvoy app to go ahead and check in, and I can, my key will be ready, and like that's what people's expectations are, and so the rental car industry is heading that way, and Hertz is just going to get there first.
Awesome, love it. Should we open it up? Any questions?
Okay, I have a lot of questions, but I will stick to just one. When you were ideating the campaign with Tom Brady, were there other celebrities you were considering? And how did you go about vetting that this was going to be the right person with the right messaging at the right time?
So it was pre-me, the original campaign. So they launched the campaign in November or October of 2021. And I actually, why don't we just hand the mic to Steph? Steph was here. Maybe you can give us a little background. I don't want to just steal your thunder.
Hi. So as
this is
Wayne...
Stephanie Dilmore, our VP of Brand, and she'll be up on the panel after me.
So to answer your question, yes, we did look at other celebrities. There were a number of campaign territories that we were exploring, like one was being ahead of the curve, and it was very functional in nature and innovative, like think Apple. And so in that instance, you would go with a much different celebrity. But we said, hey, like we really need to break through to younger consumers, stand out amongst the sea of sameness, as Wayne said. So like, let's get more enthusiastic around like this idea of let's go, right? It applies to driving, it applies to everything you do in your life, and it's a very colloquial phrase. And it just so happened that we were looking at Tom Brady, like he was riding the high. He was in Tampa at the time, shout out Adam, doing amazing things for the Bucs. And he was really starting to come into his own as a personality. And so we said, hey, like, why not explore Tom? And it was one of the best decisions we've ever made. Like, he's a world-renowned, known athlete. He is the GOAT, and he doesn't call himself that by any means, but we all do. But he's been an incredible brand partner. But yes, we did look at other celebrities, but he just happened to be a great fit for what we were looking to do at the time.
Thanks, Steph.
Okay, so interestingly enough, my very first job was demoing Swiffers at Kmart when I was like 15 years old. So I'm going to bring it back to your Swiffer days.
Yeah.
It's kind of such a basic household item. Are there any insights in how you kind of transition consumer preferences to a new product, which is like, you know, it's kind of, even when I was demoing it, it's kind of like, oh, it's like a napkin at the end of a stick, and you wipe things up with it. Like, people were so confused. But now I would say you probably see it in every single household everywhere. So how did you kind of, how did the brand create brand love for a new product like Swiffer?
So I got to Swiffer, and they had made it to $1 billion. And so there was sort of like their next leap. And the campaign that I worked on with Swiffer was Swiffer gives you the 5 signs of clean. And it was one of those things where it was during that time when every brand was trying to say that they give you the 7 signs of this or the 3 signs of that or the 5 signs. Like, it was a real kind of common trope at the moment. But with the fun thing about Swiffer is your example of being an in-store demo, like, that was the real key with Swiffer, was letting people see how it worked. And because no one really cared, it was such a low interest category, like, did we really need any kind of innovation in floor care? But when someone saw how simple and easy it was to operate, that was the magic. And so a lot of products that we would try to do during that time, we would always think about, like, okay, in the club setting, especially where you have opportunities to really do demos, we really try to take advantage of those as much as we could, because there's nothing like seeing is believing in certain cases. This is all pre-digital. Now you don't have to do it in store, right? You could show people, but that was kind of how the way we did it.
Thank you for inviting us into your offices as well.
I have Team Snap on my phone. User.
Love to see it. Love to see it. One of the things I wanted to talk a little bit outside of more personal nature. So Morehouse obviously is one of the most renowned historically black colleges, and there's the concept of the Morehouse man. And you mentioned earlier about lifting as you go.
Yep.
I'd love to understand how those principles have sort of shaped your career as you sort of describe your successes and how you've been able to move through the various industries at great companies and then sort of forge a legacy that way.
So, love the question. So, first of all, I owe a lot of it to Morehouse, but I take it before Morehouse, right? Because, you know, I grew up with 2 amazing parents, and my father, who I will have lost for 10 years now, this year, his mantra was leave it better than you found it. And so I grew up all my life with leave it better than you found it as something that was just drilled into me every single day. Leave it better than you found it. Then you go to Morehouse, and, you know, at Morehouse, they really teach you about striving, you know, for excellence. And in Morehouse, there's a statement that Howard Thurman made that Morehouse places a crown above all her students' head that we all strive to one day be tall enough to reach. And so there's just always that thing drilled into a Morehouse man about, you know, always trying to, you know, push for excellence, push for breaking through. For those of you who don't know, it's a school that Martin Luther King graduated from, school that Spike Lee graduated from, Edwin Moses. I mean, there's so many people, but that was sort of always drilled into us, right? And so then, you know, when I got to the career part, you know, I got out of Morehouse, and I also wanted to make sure I was always giving back. And so I've always really gotten into being a part of mentoring programs, mentoring youth. And the one moment, if I'm going to point to one that made me say, hey, this is the right track, was I lived in Cincinnati. There's a high school called Walnut Hills, and I was doing a weekly mentorship program with some middle school middle school math students, teaching them about personal finance, and we would go kind of once a month to see them. And it was about 2 or 3 years later, I was in a McDonald's drive-through, and the young man that was handing me my food looked at me. He said, "Hey, did you used to mentor at Winthrop?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, I was in that class." And like that moment made me, I mean, it was just like, I got to keep doing it. I got to keep doing it. Because that kid remembered me in the drive-through. And I was like, like it just said that you have to find ways to do that. Because, I mean, I didn't recognize him, but it was something that I said to him. And so I always do that. My story about First Build goes the other way. They were offering me this weird job. I'm like corporate guy. They're saying like, go do this weird startup-y thing. And I didn't know. And I called a mentor of mine. I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Wayne," he's like, "what are you doing right now? Come get in the car." And I went down. He drove me over there. He said, "Let's just go see it." And he took the time out of his day to say, "Let's go look at this opportunity. We'll talk about it. And let's think about it together." And then after we did, he said, "Wayne, you got to do this job. This is going to be a great opportunity for you." So it's just listening when those moments, and then also taking the moment to teach somebody else or lift somebody up is so important to me.
Yep. Thanks, Wayne. Daniel with Overtime Sports, based out of Atlanta. Shout out Morehouse. We got a lot of great Morehouse men at Overtime. But given the competition in the marketplace for you guys, how much thought are you guys putting towards the next generation of car renters? And
I
what does
thought
that
you were
look
going to say
like?
the competition, because I was going to say crush them.
Yeah, we'll definitely crush them. And how do you make sure y'all are grabbing those next drivers that are coming out of high school, coming out of college?
Yeah, it's very important to us. Look, Hertz is an iconic brand with extremely high brand awareness, but we have to make sure that brand health is just as strong for those who are over 40 as those who are under 40. And we are doing a lot to, not only with our targeting with our media, but also tactics. And so, we've made a lot of great strides in social media. The traditional channels like Instagram and Facebook, but now leaning way in on TikTok and finding ways like, what is our voice and tone on TikTok that's different from how we present ourselves on Instagram. And we're having a lot of fun. I think you're going to see a lot of fun stuff as we launch Dollar and really give Dollar some love. I think that's going to give us an opportunity to really have some fun, that we maybe take chances that we wouldn't have taken with Hertz too. So I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Hi, I'm Gabby from Factory 360. I just want to piggyback on that question. What are you seeing? Because I consider myself an older, I do Hertz, I'm Marriott, I'm American Airlines. And I wonder, what are you seeing specifically with youth? And I have a lot of young people who work for me, but I haven't really sat with them and been like, what's it like, how do you travel? What is it, I know they're also very brand loyal, especially as it relates to airline points. But curious, what is that behavior you're seeing that's very different with youth than, older generations?
We just finished a really good qual and quant study, and we're digging in. I honestly think there were less surprises on the age. Like, I think people kind of travel, like there's a couple of insights we found. One, there was I think we myth busted the bleisure thing. So there was an idea that there's all these people that are now mixing their business and leisure travel. And it sounds like, because we're all, in reality, like all of you that flew here, maybe because it's Naples, you stay one more day. But most people who flew here are like trying to get right back home. Like if you're on a business trip, you're on a business trip. And if you're on a vacation, you're on a vacation. So I think that was one thing that we thought all these young travelers are doing all this bleisure. Like that was just kind of busted. Like there's a little bit of that, but I'd give you that one as like probably the biggest one. Honestly, I think it has more to do versus instead of being like this big generational difference, it's more like life stage. And there's points in your life where you're in a job that has heavy business travel, or there's points in your life when you're in the middle of being in a family and you're doing a lot of leisure, or your single days where you're just trying to go take over the world. I think it really has to do more with life stage than like some like true generational difference.
Well, thank you, Wayne. That was great.
Thanks. It's fun. That was great. Thanks, everybody.